and happy Canada Day. I'm Diane Wild of TVA, and I'm here to tell you about my Canadian TV story. The Writers Guild of Canada wants everyone to share what their favorite Canadian television show is, and so mine is Slings and Arrows. It's my favorite Canadian TV show of all time, and you could take the Canadian out of that. It's one of my favorite TV shows of all time. It hits on pretty much everything I love. I was kind of a Shakespeare nut. I actually in university won some Shakespeare scholarship thing. Um, and I love to go to Bard on the Beach, etc. I've never been to the Stratford Festival, but Slings and Arrows is a take on the Stratford Festival. It's set in New Burbage, which makes it a very Canadian show, and yet it's a universal show. I mean, everyone knows Shakespeare, everyone knows theatre companies, so it didn't hide its Canadianness, and yet it's appealing to worldwide audiences. I don't think that I saw Slings and Arrows when it first ran on television. In fact, I'm pretty sure I didn't. I don't think I got the channels. But I did watch it on DVD, and I bought DVDs for an American friend of mine who loved it and bought DVDs for another friend of hers. And it's one of those shows that if you haven't heard of it and you sit down and watch it, if it's the kind of thing you like, then you're gonna love it. It's funny, it's witty, it's thought provoking. The people behind it was created by Bob Martin, Susan Coyne, and Mark McKinney. And they've all got very interesting careers apart from this. I now watch with eagerness any of the shows that they are going to have a hand in creating. Susan Coyne has one coming up called Best Laid Plans, based on a book, and it's going to be a miniseries on CBC. And unfortunately, my expectations are very high because of her association with Slings and Arrows. It starred Paul Gross and Martha Burns, among others. The three who created it are also in the show. And I just feel like you can tell it was a labor of love. The first season, it only lasted 3 seasons, which is probably part of its charm. It never got the time to wear out its welcome, and it ended apparently by design of the creators. There's been talk that they might have a 4th season, but I think that talk has been not very serious. At least publicly it hasn't been very serious talk, but I keep hoping for that, and on the other hand wondering maybe it should just be this perfect 3-season show. And they divided the series. Each one was one of the plays that they were working on. So season 1 was, I want to say Midsummer Night's Dream. Which one was it? I'm just double checking this. Yes, Midsummer Night's Dream. And that starred Rachel McAdams before most people knew who she was. And the season 2 was Macbeth, and season 3 was King Lear. And that was all part of the show, is that the first one was the young lovers. Macbeth was the sort of middle-aged lovers, and then King Lear was the older man, sort of in the twilight of his career, but also his life. So anyway, Slings and Arrows, obviously I have a lot of affection for it. I could probably talk about it all day and not scratch the surface. If you're looking for a current Canadian TV show, my favorite right now is Orphan Black. That one doesn't... It makes me sad that that one was picked up by an American broadcaster before a Canadian broadcaster came on board. It isn't recognizably a Canadian show. I mean that in where it's set. The place names, they don't ever mention Toronto, though they do mention Scarborough and some of the surrounding areas, but they do mention Minnesota. So I think it's a little bit less wearing its Canadianness on its sleeve, and rightly so, I would say. But it's an amazing series, and the first couple of episodes I was a little bit lukewarm on it, but Tatiana Maslany is incredible. There's a lot of buzz that she could get an Oscar nomination for this role. It would be very unusual, these roles I should say, it would be very unusual for a sci-fi series, the lead in a sci-fi series, to get an Emmy nomination, but she is just that good. It crosses boundaries. I don't consider myself a science fiction fan. I do like science fiction. The reason I don't say that I'm a sci-fi fan is because that tends to mean that, the sort of person who likes things because they're sci-fi, I tend to like things despite them being sci-fi a little bit. But Orphan Black, if you haven't checked it out, it's an amazing show. It will blow your mind. And it's coming back next year on Space. So I hope you will record your quick video on what your your favorite Canadian TV show is and why, and join in on the fun. You have to email it to the Writers Guild, so I'll put that information in the posting, and tweet it out. Put it on Facebook. Spread the word. Encourage other people to do it. You could win a prize, but also you can just spread your love for one of your favorite television shows. Thanks, and happy Canada Day.